All right, everybody, welcome once again to the RecPoker podcast. I'm your host, Steve Fredlund, joined by a plethora of other folks you'll hear from later, but Rob Washam, Chris Jones, Shayan, man, I always butcher your last name, Bhattacharyya.
Come on, Bhattacharya.
Bhattacharya. All right, Bhattacharya. I wasn't ready. You know, it sounds Italian. I know you're not Italian, but it sounds a little Italian. Jake Mason is also here. John Somsky is on the line. And I don't think I've forgotten anybody. If I have, jump in. But we'll also be joined by Taylor Maas and Stacey Nelson later. But as always, we're sponsored by Running Aces Racetrack and Casino. And this is our first kind of discussion podcast in a while, episode 142. And because we've had so many great interviews. We just keep having interview after interview, which have just been fantastic. Kind of got us through the summer. If you've missed us, if you're just kind of jumping in now because of this special kind of announcement that we're doing, make sure you check out our past episodes, kind of going backwards in order. We've had Greg Raymer, Tommy Angelo, Matt Matros, and then we did a series on women in poker. So we had Casey Mills, Sarah Herring, Katie Stone, Maureen Blockwinger, Jen Shahadi, Diva Byrne, Eileen Sutton, Lexi Gavin, Tiffany Lee. Before that, we had Jared Tendler, Andrew Brokus, and Peyton Smith. And it's just been a fantastic series of interviews. So I really want to encourage you to check those out. Some really great insight and some really great people on those episodes. So it's been a while since we've been with you. And for this episode, we want to take a breath. And we've been having a lot of conversations about where is RecPoker going, and we're super excited about where it's going. So this episode is really about helping all of you understand where we're going, giving you an opportunity to get on board, giving you an opportunity to provide input and all of that, but really just sort of say, here is where we're going. We've got some great momentum. We were really encouraged. There was an episode or an article that was written recently that gave us credit for being the ninth highest poker podcast, or the ninth most recommended podcast that you should listen to for poker in 2019. Now, I don't know if I buy all that, but it's sort of exciting. We've got some really good momentum there, really great partnerships, great relationships forming. And so with that, we've really developed this really strong core group of recreational players who are really trying to learn the game together in community. And so we've been talking through where are we going as a podcast, and that's what this episode is really dedicated to. So from a high-level perspective, what we're talking about here with RecPoker is we want to expand. We want to increase the RecPoker community, and we want to keep learning the game together. We want to keep promoting the game. But one of the things that we realize is that we're not going to compete on content alone. There's just way too many great geniuses out there that are putting content out there. There's new content sites that are coming out all the time. I know Ryan LaPlante just launched another training site. So there's some great stuff out there. But what we think that our niche is, and I think a lot of you will agree based on the comments that I get from many of you, is that we're really a community-based niche looking to build relationships, looking to learn the game as recreational players within the context of community in a real positive and encouraging sort of environment. And so what we want to do is really help bridge that gap for the recreational players who are looking for good content. We're going to be providing what we think is really good content. We're going to be partnering with some of the greatest names in poker to provide some of that. We're going to be doing that through recreational poker discussions with some really great minds in the recreational poker space. But we're going to also be giving you opportunities to interact with each other, to interact with those big names. We're going to be looking for opportunities to build relationships and build community and all of those things. So that's what we're looking to do. That's where we're looking to go. And we're going to be doing a combination of expanding the free things that we currently do. So right now, you know us because of the podcast. And you can also watch the podcast on YouTube. And we're going to keep doing that. That's going to continue to be completely free. But we're also going to be adding some additional things that are going to be free and available to everybody as well. So we're expanding that side of it. But we are also going to be introducing a membership site. And that site is going to have additional content. It's going to have opportunities for you to interact in those discussions, opportunity to ask questions of the Greg Ramers of the world. It's going to have opportunities to socialize and interact with all of RecPoker Nation. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that in this episode, but just wanted to give you a high-level feel for for where we're going there. So I guess our working description of RecPoker is to be a vibrant and positive, interactive community of recreational poker players who are sharing knowledge and encouragement. That's a mouthful. It's not really memorizable, but it's sort of a working definition to give you an idea of where we're trying to go. Because what we've found, all of us who are on this panel tonight, have really found so much value in the poker community, in the relationships that we've built. It's not only about learning the game, it's about meeting great people, building relationships, and having that sort of community. And so that's what we want to provide to a lot of folks out there like you who have continued to tell me that they just can't find somebody to talk poker with, or the people that they're talking poker with just aren't really thinking about it the right way, or it's not really a positive environment. We want to provide that for you. We want to invite you in to be part of the community that we're building with RecPoker. So that's where we're going. As I mentioned, what this means for you is that there's going to be content, there's going to be interactive learning, and there's going to be community building opportunities. Some of it will be publicly available to everybody. Some of it will be behind a membership wall, and we're going to be doing a membership site for $10 a month. So we're not looking to get rich off of this thing, but we are looking to pay the bills that are associated with this. So we're going to be offering that for $10 a month. We're planning on launching that October 1st, if all goes well. We're going to be building up the content prior to that. So when we launch October 1st, there's going to be a bunch of content available, a lot of things in place for you to take part in right away. So we've got, I guess, a list of things that we're thinking about doing. But before I do that, I want to give you guys an opportunity to meet some of the folks that are part of this thing with me, because that's part of this deal. Is this is not my show. This is a community thing. And we've got a group of 8 of us who are going to be, I guess, leading this thing together, are going to be providing the content, part of the discussions. And so I want to make sure you get a chance to meet those folks. But before we do that, guys, anything you want to add? What did I miss? What did I not share that we should be sharing?
I think you covered it pretty well, Steve.
Aw, thanks, Rob. All right. Well, let me before we get into some of the content stuff, let me introduce the panel. And I just want to encourage you guys, share whatever you want to share, maybe either why you're part of this deal, what you're looking forward to, or even something like, why do you enjoy learning in community? So it's just kind of an open opportunity for you guys to introduce yourself to all of RecPoker Nation. I know some of you guys, they already know because you've been on the show a few times. But Rob, why don't you start?
All right. Well, basically, I remember meeting Steve at believe it or not, a poker tournament.
Really?
We just happened to be at the same table together, and I think it was we had both made day 2 of a 2-day tournament, I think it was. And we started talking, and it was kind of refreshing because I've been a rec poker player for years and years and years, and never really had anybody else that was as into poker as I was. So when I got into conversations with friends, people I've known for a long time, they really didn't know poker that well, or really didn't even want to discuss poker that much. So I was kind of on my own, going to websites, maybe forums occasionally, whatever. So it was so refreshing when I met Steve and got in a relationship with him, and we started talking poker, and we kind of came from the same place, and we were just enjoying each other's conversation about poker. And I was fortunate enough to continue my relationship with Steve, and now here we are today. So that really, it's about being able to share the experience that you're having with somebody that is as into it as you are.
Yeah, I love that, Robin. Yeah, I feel the same way about you, man. And that's been the fun part. And it is funny how many people that I get emails from that are saying exactly what you just said. And I kind of assumed everybody had their poker buddies or the people that they really wanted to talk about. And it turns out so many people have poker buddies that they go and they play with, but really don't want to learn the game at that next level. I'm surprised by how many people don't have that. And so to hear you say that is kind of affirming. And I was kind of the same way, looking for who will talk poker with me.
Yeah. Yep.
No, it's been a pleasure, Rob. It's been a fun few years getting to know you for sure.
Yep.
How about you, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, I have a pretty similar story. I mean, I've been playing poker for a long time. A lot of friends play it pretty recreationally, but it's one of those things where they just want to kind of play and have some beers, and I enjoy that too. But as I got more serious about the game and got more interested into it, I just wanted to learn more about it. And I really found it was a struggle to find people who I could talk to about the game, who were interested beyond the level of, just basic what beats what. And it's been really great to discover Rec Poker for me, because I've done a lot of website learning and book reading and trying to teach myself the game, but there's always stuff where you have these little bits of doubts. Well, am I really doing this right? And you don't know who to talk to, and you don't know who to ask that question of, because nobody in your circle is really going to be able to have that answer. And so that's what I'm really looking forward to, and I'm really excited about the possibilities here. I'm really excited for people like me who can discover this and grow with it and find that community and learn with it. So yeah, I'm super excited to be part of this. I hope I can contribute in positive ways, yeah, I can't wait for the next steps.
Awesome. Well, I have no doubt you can contribute in positive ways. You already have in many ways. And that's, if I wasn't clear, I know I just kind of ramble a little bit, but just so you guys out there know, this is the group of folks that are going to be kind of your core group of people with Rec Poker, kind of the face of Rec Poker, people that have these stories that are going to be responsible for hearing what you have to say, what input you have, curating the content, putting the content together, and making it accessible for the people of Rec Poker. So Rob and Chris and the others you're going to meet, these are familiar faces and people that we're all on this journey, man. We're all recreational players trying to figure the game out and enjoy it in the process. And so, Chris, I have no doubt you're going to be a huge contributor to this thing. I love how you think about the game as well. So it's going to be a fun journey ahead with you. How about you, Shayan?
Hey guys. So my story. By day, I work in healthcare strategy. So I actually just took a new job very recently. Avocationally, I've enjoyed poker for a long time. It's been mostly home games. My first live tournament was actually in March of this year, and studied the game and never played before really in a tournament, and so played and enjoyed some success this summer. And I've just enjoyed learning the game. I mean, if you think about a game of chess, it's a game of perfect information. Both players know what the other, they're looking at the same board. Poker is a game of imperfect information, where you only know what's in your hand and you can make some educated guesses about what's in the other person's hand. But I like that brutality in it. It's like life, right? Like you can make get your money in with the 70% to win, and you lose. And that's just like life. And similarly, you can get it in with 30% and win. And poker players always remember the bad beats, but I just enjoy learning the game. I enjoy the complexity of the IQ and EQ required to win at it. So that's what I'm looking forward to here. I think I've read a lot, but I've learned most by discussing scenarios and spots with other people. Like, why would you do this play here? What's the trade-off? There's no good decision, but what's the trade-off with this decision versus that? So that's what excites me about this, and doing it in community and getting those viewpoints out there and learning together.
Yeah, that's what I loved about you, Shayan, too, is when we first met, we've chatted a few times about poker, and he says he's had some success. It's not beginner's luck. This guy is figuring out the game and figuring it out really quick and doing very well. But one of the things that really stood out when I met you is just you're asking all the right questions. I mean, that's what as a strategist, I can just tell that's sort of your thing. You ask this. I'm like, those are all the right questions. I might not know the answers, but those are definitely the right questions. So really looking forward to having you on here as well. How about you, Jake?
So I'm 33. I've been playing online poker and live poker basically since I was 18. 2004 is right when I graduated high school and when the boom happened with everything, with Moneymaker and all that. So I feel like I've literally been playing the game. I was thinking about it the other day. I've literally been playing the game like half my life now, which just seems insane to think about. But had a pretty decent amount of success on Full Tilt and Poker Stars back in the day, and then obviously Black Friday happened, and then it was just kind of a weird situation because you had money on there that you didn't have access to. So the live poker game was still like a whole new thing back in like 2009, 2010, whenever that was. And now, and just probably in the last like 4 or 5 years, I've really picked it up again. And it's. I mean, I'm not gonna I'm not going to sit there and say I know everything, obviously, because I mean, certainly not. I mean, we're all just recreational players, but I feel like I've, I don't know. It's been a long journey, that's for sure. And and I've had some friends, come and go, and friends I still talk to about the game. But the main appeal for the rec poker idea for me was, I have like 2 or 3 friends that I talk poker with all the time, and well, I already know when I tell them a hand history how they're going to play it. So it's like, how much am I really getting out of this at this point? So as far as an educational thing for myself, but also just to be like a good member of the community as well. So it. Like I said, we're all just trying to learn the game together, and I don't always play the highest of stakes. I typically either play cash games or $30 to $150 tournaments. Sometimes I'll take a shot in some bigger ones here and there, but we're all kind of chasing the same thing, right? I mean, it's you're trying to make a final table in one of these big tournaments, and kind of make a name for yourself, but at the same time, you're having fun with it, right? So it's just part of the journey, if you will.
Yeah, and I love how you approach the game, Jake. And Jake is one of these guys who will talk poker any day, anytime, whenever. You've been super active already on the Discord. We just started this Discord thing. And you're out there, you're playing the double stack and running aces, and you're sharing all your hands. And part of me is feeling guilty that, dude, focus on what you're doing. But I'm like, I'm loving this. I'm eating this up because you're just sharing all of this stuff. And I was driving home from Chicago, and I'm like, let's stop for gas, because I just wanted to check and see what Jake was doing on the chat. But yeah, I mean, I appreciate that. I think you're always looking to learn, even though you have a ton of experience. But more so, you're looking to share your knowledge, and I just appreciate that. And that's one of the main reasons why you're on here. So thanks for that, man. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
I know we have John Somsky. He's not on video, but John is on the line. John, what's your thoughts?
Well, I've been playing poker for most of my life. I mean, we started as a kid. We do poker with the family a little bit here and there. It wasn't anything formal. And then in high school, did a little bit there. And when I graduated, I finally got hooked up with a bunch of people at work who were playing poker. Now, at the time, it was mainly a 5-card draw type of thing, because this was pre-boom back in the early 90s. And it quickly became my primary hobby. So it's the thing I like to do most next to programming, which is what I do for a living. So I've continued to do that. When the boom took off, I got into that, started playing a lot of online poker, got hooked up with Ante Up magazine, the Ante Up podcast. I listened to a lot of poker podcasts. And started covering poker for Minnesota with Ante Up. Just a small little article, but that's kind of part of my passion, is just being involved in the poker scene. So that's why I wanted to be here. It's good for me. I've listened to a lot of hours of poker podcasts, but that ends up being a more passive learning, because I'm doing it while I'm driving or while I'm doing other things, and not necessarily sitting down with like a pen and paper and going through the hand histories and things like this. So I think I'm to the point where I need to do more active learning, where I need to invest my energy, my focus into it, as well as my time into it. And of course, as Jake mentioned, one of the things that's nice is getting different perspectives, different points of view. So that's what I'm really looking forward with the rec poker community. I mean, first of all, it's going to be the type of community that it's going to be nurturing, and yet still call into question what you have to say about a particular hand, but doing so in a respectful way, so that we can actually have a conversation about the ideas rather than about egos. And I think it's just going to be a really great place to continue to grow my game, to learn more friends, have more friends, and I fooled everyone into thinking I'm a nice guy, so it's great.
Right. Well, that's well said. I think that is the thing. We want to challenge each other. We want to figure out the right strategy. We want to have disagreements. We've had a lot of really great disagreements on the podcast. I know with Rob and I and some others talking about, bet sizing, some of those things, and those have been fantastic. But it's always respectful, and that's the thing that we really do want to focus here. The point is to get better. The point is not to see who's right and have the biggest ego and all of those things. And John really is a nice guy. All of these guys are really nice guys. I think about Rob. I think about, man, you're one of those guys that as soon as the first time I played with you, I'm like, I just want to hang out with this guy all the time. not just because you're a good poker player, but just because you're just a fun, nice guy, you know. And I think that's part of this thing is the relationships with all of you guys and a few people that aren't here. They're valuable to me. You know, I just started playing poker 8, 9, 10 years ago because me and a couple of buddies were trying to figure out how do we connect with our kids. My kids used to be into fishing. They kind of lost interest in fishing. And so me and Stacey Nelson and Mark Hasseth, we had like 10 teenagers between the three of us. And we're like, how do we connect with our kids? Hey, has anybody ever played poker? I forget who even brought it up. And so we started playing poker for 10 cents a night or something and just fell in love with it. And I talked to my wife about this, and she doesn't get poker at all, whatever. But I said, man, it's crazy to think the relationships that I wouldn't have had I never started playing poker. And you guys, I count among those. And I think that's part of what, if I can leave an imprint on the world in any way, shape, and form, I would love to have part of my legacy be, I help connect people with other people to build relationships that added, vitality to their life, And I think that's what we have the opportunity to do. We're not going to be able to be friends with all of RecPoker Nation individually, but we can connect people and all of those things. So I'm really excited about that. I'm excited about learning the game, excited about the relationships, all of it. And you guys are a big part of that. So thanks for being part of this deal. So get used to these names, get used to these faces. You're going to be hearing a lot from these folks, as well as Taylor Maas, who's hopefully going to be joining us tonight. He's putting his twins to bed, and Stacey Nelson. So those are the two other folks that are part of the core content team that you're going to be hearing a lot from. And so I just want to take a minute and walk through this group. We've been talking about what content we're going to have on the site. So I just want to take a little bit of time to walk through that for those of you who are listening to the show, to give you a little bit more specific idea of some of the things that we're looking to offer when we launch October 1st. Now, none of this is set in stone, so input is hugely valuable. You can always reach out to me, Steve at recpokertraining.com, or through Facebook at RecPoker, Twitter at RecPoker. Give us your feedback, or reach out to any of these guys if you know any of them. And guys, feel free to chime in here, but I'll just kind of walk through where we landed last time. So there's a few things I mentioned that we're going to continue to do and increase that will be publicly available. So you don't need a membership. You don't need a registration. All of these things are things that we just anticipate offering for free as part of RecPoker. So obviously the podcast, both the audio and the video format, those will continue in their full length for everybody, public consumption. We're also looking at whatever we do for the membership site. We're planning on using little snippets of it, maybe 2 to 5 minute segments. Part of it is a teaser for what we offer on the membership, but part of it will be valuable content that we'll make available to everybody. So you maybe can't afford to do a membership that gives you an hour-long video look at how to play ace-king out of position, but we might maybe take a 5-minute chunk of that and make that available to everybody as well. We're also looking at one of the things that John is specifically investigating is, can we do a free online poker tournament and make that available? We thought about doing it to members, but then we thought, well, why not make it available to anybody who wants to be part of this thing? So we're looking at exploring that, maybe on PokerStars, maybe somewhere else, to just have like a monthly or some sort of a regular tournament that everybody can participate in, and then we'll put some prizes up. Maybe we'll get some great donations from like the MSPT or Running Aces, or maybe we'll put some merchandise up there. That's yet to be determined. Maybe it's just recognition. We'll see how that goes. But that's one thing, kind of an interactive way to get to know people and practice your skills, practice your game. And also, we already have started the Discord channel. So if you haven't gone out there, Discord is an app that I hadn't used because I'm too old. But some of the younger folks that are part of this group said, hey, you should do a Discord thing. We started it, some really good activity out there. Go to the Facebook page or go to our Twitter, and I'll post something out there. I'll put the link in the show notes as well. But it's an app that allows you to do kind of live group texting back and forth. And we've got a few different channels set up out there, so you can kind of go into the channel you want. Like we have daily Running Aces tournaments. We have the MSPT, different things, and you can post out there and kind of go back and forth and communicate that way. So those are a few of the things that we've been talking about making available to everybody. And then for the membership side, we have some things that will be where the group, our group right here that's talking tonight, things that we're going to get together and chat about, whoever can make it, and we're going to record those discussions and then make that available to you guys. So things like we'll have hand history discussions where we'll just break down some hands. And I forget who said it, John or whoever said, let's look at it from different angles, different perspectives, wrestle with it, and look at things that way. We'll be doing maybe book studies, or we'll look at videos and study those and have conversations about those. We're also planning on bringing in some experts, like some pros, some of the folks that we've interviewed in the past that have said they'd love to come on the RecPoker podcast again. People like Greg Raymer and Jonathan Little and Kenna James, some of these guys that we maybe bring them in for a 2-hour session. And what we would do there is we'd maybe have our core panel interview them. But if you're a member, you can be on that conversation, you can be on that call, and you can type in questions, and you can maybe get your question answered by them. So that's an opportunity to engage there. We're also looking at doing some final table commentary for the MSPT. We have an agreement with them to use their videos. Now, they do some commentary on their live stream, but typically it's not really digging into the hands. And so we're looking at having a group get together and kind of dig into the hands from a strategy perspective, either the entire final table or just pulling out specific portions and kind of dissecting those and having conversations about those. So those are all things that would be available to members. We're also looking at having some individuals contribute some content themselves. So I know Jake has already talked about doing a hand of the month kind of breakdown. Taylor is looking at maybe doing some analytical training. Chris Jones has talked about and maybe taking a specific hand or a specific situation, finding a number of examples and creating something that consolidates all of those that we discuss. So a number of things that we're talking about, both from a group interactive perspective as well as an individual perspective. And then we also have some other just fun things that we're talking about. How do we continue to build the relationships, build the community? I know Jake has talked about doing some fantasy football thing, where maybe we have a fantasy football league that's open to members, no cost, just sort of a fun thing that we do. And maybe we put some prizes at the end of that thing. We've talked about doing some meetups or some meet and greets. So a number of things, and I'm just kind of fire hosing you, but I just want to give you an opportunity to kind of realize some of the things that we have in mind and give you an opportunity to respond to some of those. Let us know what sounds great, what sounds like, I don't know. But those are some of the things that we have planned. So we're really excited about both from a content perspective. We think it's going to be really good, but also the opportunity to engage and be interactive and have some conversation as well. So what did I miss, guys? What now that I kind of fire hosed again, what did I miss, or what sort of stands out to you, Chris?
Yeah, I was just going to add the thing that I'm the most excited about this, and I think that is maybe slightly different than other sort of sites or things that do this kind of thing, is that ability to really focus on the community and that interactivity piece. Like when I was talking to you about, well, maybe I could pull together situations like ace king out of position or whatever, and I could try to find examples online and pull together some videos that we could all talk about. That's fine and good, and I could probably come up with a lot of examples myself. But what I really love about this is having a community jump in and give feedback. You know where I'm struggling. I'm struggling when I flop an open-ended straight draw, and can you find some examples of that? And then we can take those things, the input from the community, and try to put it into action, which I think makes this community different. And so that's the piece I'm the most excited about.
Yeah, I love that. Like you mentioned, it's not just us necessarily just driving all the content and saying, here, you have to consume this in the way that we want it consumed. It's saying, okay, what are you struggling with? I love that. The one that I always get is, small pairs, early position, but yeah, or flopping open to straight draws, whatever it is. So that's where feedback, I always say feedback is critical. And hopefully that's what separates us is that ability. We're going to listen. We're going to take all that feedback. And I'm not saying other sites don't, but I know, I've often sent in stuff and never heard anything back from others. And I'm not bashing anybody else, but I'm telling you, we're going to commit to taking all of that feedback, processing all that information, and saying, where are people struggling the most? And saying, okay, what can we do about that? How can we help them address that? And so I love that. It really will be RecPoker community-driven content to a large degree. Thanks, Chris. Shayan, did you have something there?
Well, I was just going to say, when I put on my vocational hat and we develop products, one of the critical things is getting that feedback from the user. And that's it's indispensable. So that I was going to underline this exact point, that that's one of the things that's been attractive to me about this community, is the fact that, as you and I talked, Steve, about hands, we've taken the issues that I'm facing and we're talking about them. And I hope that this is that at scale, so we can help more people and we can learn together. That's my view for why this is a differentiated community versus other sites, is taking the secret sauce of doing what we've done well on the small scale, and now we're just trying to enhance that reach a little bit and continue to improve. So the community aspect is crucial. It's not lip service. It's actually part of that design process, and that feedback loop is required to make this work.
Love it. Very well said, sir. Anybody else have anything else to share there on the content piece? Otherwise, I was just told by Taylor Maas that I shouldn't call on him, but I'm going to call on him. Taylor has joined us. And Taylor has joined us on the call. Taylor, if you can't, just let me know if you can't. He's got kids that he's trying to put down. But Taylor, yeah, all of us have kind of gone around and just sort of shared a little bit about our story, a little bit about what we're excited about with this whole RecPoker, the direction that we're going, trying to be interactive and go to a membership site. So if it works for you, I'd love to have you just share a little bit about kind of who you are, your perspective, what you do in your real job, and just kind of, what you're excited about with this deal.
Sure. So lacking the ability to hear what everyone said in front of me, I'll just try and go through what I think I should be sharing, and you let me know if I miss anything.
Sounds good.
But I am an actuary by trade, very math-driven field, very much driven off of kind of risk management and analyzing stuff through numbers. So I tend to do that a lot in my poker game because I do it a lot in my work life. So I'm very focused or very driven by kind of the math behind things, going through and, analyzing different options, but then also kind of the expected value at each of those positions. So I really love doing stuff like that. And I think it's a thing a lot of people don't necessarily enjoy doing, but it's something that I definitely do. And I'd say the RecPoker community has kind of helped drive that for me. Previously, I would listen to a lot of podcasts or read a lot of articles, and it was kind of like soak up that information and then eventually over time kind of lose what I learned because I wasn't practicing it or I wasn't thinking it. The one thing that I've really enjoyed with this is kind of like our weekly chats that we've been having every night of the week, where we'll be discussing various topics. So we'll be talking about some of the things that we just mentioned, talking about ace king, talking about small pairs in position, out of position, etc. And a lot of the times I then take that and go, okay, well, we talked about a lot of things, but what do the numbers actually say? And I'll go through and I'll dive into different things and say, okay, let's talk about this 3-bet situation and let's create a decision tree and look at each different step and where was it profitable, where was it not, what made it profitable. And those are kind of some nerdy things, but things that I definitely enjoy doing. And being part of this community has kind of helped drive me to keep looking at those things, do it myself, and then talk about it. And it's kind of really helped my game grow.
Yeah, I love it, Taylor. I'm an actuary by trade too. I'm more of a recovering actuary. You're still in it, but no, I seriously love that. And one of the things I love about the way, Taylor, you do that is you're a very good communicator too. And that's one of the knocks on highly analytical people, is sometimes they can't communicate, those really difficult things in ways that are very accessible and understandable. And I think that's one of the things that you have a real strong gift in, is being able to get in there, dig in, but then come up with, okay, here's what this means. And even say, here's why, without people's eyes glossing over. And so I think, if you haven't already, RecPoker Nation, I think you're really going to enjoy learning from Taylor as we go forward, because he can take exactly what he's talking about. I know Jake, I think, was doing some hands out on Discord. Peyton Smith was putting some hands out on Discord, and Taylor was right there kind of looking at some of the math behind it, some of the decisions. And I just thought it's fascinating, first of all. And it's just another piece, even if you're not a math person, I think having a general understanding of the math principles behind it is huge for improving your poker game. So really looking forward to that.
Yeah, and then the other thing I'd add is I am a new dad. I have a 1.5-year-old twins, so I stay really busy with that, and then sometimes interferes with my ability to get to a podcast on time. But I try my best.
You do your best, and you can't find a time that fits for everybody. And I think that's what we've talked about with all of us. There's 8 of us, and the reality is it's going to be pretty rare that 7 or 8 of us are on a call at one time. But that's the beauty is whoever can make it, and we're probably always going to have 3 to 5 people that are really plugged into this thing and can add a lot of value. So that's going to be great going forward. Well, anything else, guys? I thought I'd wrap up there, unless there's anything else that you guys want to share that we should make sure that the people out there listening are aware of as we're kind of continuing down this path. Shayan?
Just one observation about this team. The analogy that comes to mind is Mario Kart, and you choose the different cars that you use, and they have different trade-offs. Like this one will go fast, but this one will turn. And as I just listened to these descriptions, I think what's really cool about this core group is that we're each kind of those different cars. Like some of us may be stronger in the math, some of us may be stronger in the field. And I think that's just going to lead ultimately to a richer discussion. So that really excites me.
Well said. I think I use the off-roader. Is that a car in Mario Kart? I think that's my cart. And by the way, just a little aside, I continue to beat my children in Mario Kart. It's like the only video game I know, and I actually continue to rip on them because I tell them there's no way that a 49-year-old man should be beating them in any video game. I don't care what it is. And so that's my claim to fame. I like to beat my children in things and then remind them regularly that I do that. Jake, what did you have there?
Oh, I was just gonna add what character do you usually use?
It's one of the big turtles, whatever they are. What are those? What are those called? I can picture it's like the bottom right.
The Koopas? The Bowser?
One of the Bowsers, yeah, Dry Bowser.
Okay, yeah, I've always been Yoshi, even since the Super Nintendo days.
Nice. Okay, yeah, and the reason I really don't know is because usually my kids set it up. They're like, they say, hey, can you play? I'm like, yeah, go set it up, and then I'll come down, and so they got it all set up. And by the time we start, I'm already selected.
Yeah, sure.
Well, awesome. Anything else, guys, that you want to share as we sign off here? All right, hearing nothing, we'll just sign off there, guys. Reminder, Running Aces Racetrack and Casino is our sponsor. If you have any feedback, please reach out to any of us on the panel or through Facebook, Twitter, however it is that you do that. And let us know, man, what resonated with you. And then next week, we're going to be back with interviews and content and really kind of start digging into this further. But we wanted to take an opportunity here to let you know where we're going because, frankly, we're excited. And hopefully it'll be something that excites you as well. And feel free to tell your friends, tell your family, tell your enemies, whoever you want to tell. Let them know about what we got going on here. And we will be in touch next week. Thanks, everybody.